We will now move into the next chapter where Bhagirath went into penance for the sake of his ancestors. Dilipa had a son by name Bhagiratha. Dilipa ruled the kingdom until illness overtook him, and crowning Bhagiratha as king, Dilipa died. The one purpose in the life of Bhagiratha was to make his ancestors reach the heavens. He left the kingdom in the hands of efficient ministers and went to perform tapas. Brahma was pleased with the intense tapas which the king was bent on, and he appeared before Bhagiratha and said, "The Devas and I are pleased with your penance. Ask what thou wilt of me. I will certainly grant it." Bhagiratha, with his eyes filled with tears of gratefulness, spoke in a voice choked with tears, "My lord, if you want to grant me a boon, grant me this. Grant that my forefathers reach the heavens. I have to perform the Nivra Panjali for them with the waters of the Ganga. And, my lord, the line of the Ikshvakus should not terminate with me. These are the boons I ask of you," said Bhagiratha. Brahma said, "Have no fear. Your line will not stop with you. You will be the father of a son. As for Ganga, you know that she is the daughter of Himavan. When she descends from the heavens, no one will be able to bear the force of her descent except Lord Mahadeva. You must pray to him." Bhagiratha now addressed himself to Mahadeva and spent a whole year fasting with just air for food. Mahadeva was pleased with the devotion of the king and appeared before him and said, "My mind is pleased with you and your desire to win for your forefathers a place in the heavens. I will take Ganga on my head and break the force of her descent." Ganga, the daughter of Himavan, had, at the command of Brahma, agreed to come down to the earth. According to the promise he had given Bhagiratha, Lord Mahadeva stood on a raised plateau of the mountain by name Himavan. All the heavenly beings had assembled in the skies to see the great and glorious sight. Bhagiratha was standing with his eyes lifted to the skies from where Ganga was to descend. They were waiting, and suddenly they heard a mighty roar. Ganga was in the sky, and an immense sheet of water began to rush toward the earth. It seemed as though the sea had reached the heavens and was rushing back to the earth in a hurry. Ganga had become very proud of the fact that she was indispensable. She told herself, "I will rush down with such fury that I will sweep Mahadeva into the Patala and the earth too." Gauging her mind, Mahadeva knew that her pride had to be humbled. He stood with his trident held behind his back with both his hands, with his head slightly raised and a beatific smile shadowing his lips. So he stood when Ganga came down to the earth. The sacred Ganga fell straight on to the hallowed head of Mahadeva. Everyone was watching her descent. Then they saw a strange sight. Ganga's waters were coming down from the sky, but when they reached the matted locks of my Lord Mahadeva, they were absorbed by them. Ganga was lost there, and nobody could see her. Try as she might, she could find no way out of the tangled mass of the Lord's locks. Bhagiratha was desperate, and he praised the Lord, and he prayed that he should have compassion on him. Mahadeva felt that he had punished her enough, and he allowed Ganga to emerge from his jata along a single strand of hair. Drop by drop she came, and a pool was formed which was named Bindusaras. Ganga was thus called Alakananda. when the pool became a lake, and when it was full, the river flowed in 7 streams. 3 of these flowed eastwards, and 3 towards the west. The 7th followed Bhagirathas as his chariot rushed towards the south, towards the cave where the Sagaraputras were waiting for their deliverance. The earth looked like the sky with swans flying around. So white was the foam of the river as she followed the king's chariot. She was so willful. Here she would flow straight as an arrow, and there she would wind like a serpent. She would rush fast at some spots, and at others she would just meander like a woman walking in her pleasure garden. She would flow smoothly on the ground for a while, and suddenly she would tumble like a child at play. So she went to purify the earth. She had washed the feet of Narayana, and she had passed the region of the moon. She had been born on the head of Mahadeva, and thus thrice purified, she had come down to the sinful earth to grant salvation for a fistful of ashes. Such is the greatness of the heavenly bonds. Ganga reached Patala, and finally Bhagirathas' dream came true. He saw the ashes of his ancestor drenched in the waters of the divine Ganga. Brahma came to Bhagiratha and said, "Child, you have achieved something which by no means was easy. So long as the waters remain in the ocean, your forefathers who gave the ocean its name Sagara will remain in the heavens. Ganga will be your eldest daughter in the eyes of the gods, and she will be called Bhagirathi." Vishwamitra's narration was complete, and he said, "Rama, my child, as usual, I have been talking for so long. I have told you the story of how Ganga came down to the earth. Ganga, who is Tripataka, she saw, was in the heavens, on the earth and in Patala too. Evening is fast approaching. Let us prepare the rest for the night." "What a thrilling tale!" exclaimed Rama. Neither he nor his brother could get over the thrill of it. They spent the whole night thinking of the strange things which had happened long ago, and so passed the night. If you enjoyed this chapter, please do like this video and share it with your friends and family.